Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next super stock live stream. We are back with NexTech AR, Evan Gappelberg, the CEO. Evan, welcome back.
Thank you, Jack. Great to be back with you once again.
As always, look, for anybody that's brand new to our program, our goal is to bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential, and companies going after massive multi-billion-dollar market opportunities that are at a key inflection point and with multiple catalysts in place to ignite that increase in shareholder value. And look, as always, our goal is to have you ask your questions to the CEO and then decide for yourself. So please ask Evan your questions. That's going to be the goal for today, is to get a lot of good audience questions and then decide for yourself if NexTech is going to be our next 10 bagger plus again, because it's already done it once, and now we're going to see if history will repeat. So, Evan, with that said, I think so today, I guess the goal is we're going to talk about later on. We'll talk about the baby unicorn farm with the ARway, the spinout that's coming up. We'll do a little demo, but let's. I think, last time you were on, I think the market was really kind of surprised, maybe shocked by, really learning about the fact that Amazon is, using, NexTech's 3D models. And also,
yeah, that is a big deal. I'm going to get to Amazon, though, in a minute. First, I want to take a minute to reflect a little bit on where we are in history, where we are in the trajectory of NexTech, of Evan as CEO, of our investors that are watching this. It's important sometimes, Jack, to realign and really get everybody onto the same page. So why am I here? Why have I purchased 10 million shares of NexTech? Why haven't I cashed out? Why do I work 100 hours a week? Those are the burning questions that I ask myself.
Unlike many of the CEOs in the Canadian microcap space. So it's an anomaly.
Yeah. And so, the investors should be asking what is Evan's, what is he doing? So I'm here because I started out in 2018 thinking about the next big thing, which was augmented reality. Back then, it wasn't called the metaverse. It's now the metaverse. And I was thinking that I want to get out in front of this mega trend with the first publicly traded company, and I want to ride it into a multi-billion-dollar public company. That's what I set out to do. That's why I haven't sold. That's why I'm still here, because I actually see it forming. I am more confident than ever that it's happening, that the train has left the station, that now it's only a matter of time before this manifests itself. This idea that I had in 2018 manifests itself into a billion-dollar public company. Now, let's just, again, take a step back. I know, it's a big number. A billion-dollar public company sounds like a lot. In the big scheme of things, a billion-dollar public company is still a very small elephant.
It's a small cap, really.
It's still small. In the world of Wall Street, it's still small. It is. It's just hard to explain. Most people, we make our salaries and we try and pay our bills. But in the world of Wall Street, the conversations really start with billions. So now when you talk about the world, it's very complex. It's difficult to analyze. And I am always analyzing. I am always analyzing, trying to understand what's happening in the market. Where does NexTech fit in? How is this all going to play out? And the way that, what my North Star is history, basically. I turn to history to guide me. And I'm not the only one. This is a common thing that basically everybody in the stock market that's worth their salt will look at history to try and predict what's coming. And the future
cycle repeats. The
Yeah,
cycle.
it repeats or it rhymes, right? It's close. And so it's a great guide to try and understand what's happening today and what is likely going to happen tomorrow. Today, the hot topic is inflation's running hot. And, just like in the 1970s, again, the media talks about the 1970s more today than ever before because that's when the inflation was running hot. So even the media uses history as their guide for what to talk about. And so it's a common way to think about where we fit in and what's likely to happen. So if you think about history, you also have to think about my history. My history, or any CEO, any company you invest in, it does form the opinion about future, decisions and investments. And you probably have the same thing happening in your life. Is your history kind of dictates a lot of how you act day by day. So I'm bringing this up because the dots are all going to connect. In my early adulthood, in my 20s and 30s, I was a student of the stock market. I don't know if everybody knows that, but I've read every single book ever written about the stock market. I have a whole library in my office filled with these amazing reads, going back to Barbarians at the Gate. I don't know if you remember that one, Jack. That was the KKR takeover of Philip Morris. The Three Market Wizards book by Jack Schrager. Those are amazing. The Random Walk Down Wall Street. The most famous is The Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, which was written like 100 years ago. But again, these books are
Nothing has changed, right? Even 100 years, everything. But I think, Evan, I think we should add some context. So where you were going with the formation of NexTech, right? In other words, you were following kind of the Wayne Gretzky model, whereas okay, you go where the puck is heading instead of
Yeah.
chasing after the puck.
Yes.
You want to position yourself ahead of the trend because again, what you're saying, you're a student of history. You know where the market cycles. So the big money is made by getting in front of the big trend.
Yeah.
To being one of the first few stocks in that big mega wave, just like we had in cannabis, everybody remembers, or other themes, the internet, etc. So the first few stocks really took off. So the idea with NexTech is you saw this augmented reality mega wave starting to happen, and so NexTech would be one of the first pure plays, the pure play, which then becomes extremely valuable. As maybe you want to give some examples of. I think this is where you're going with this, but I just want to give the audience, in case somebody is tuning in late, they didn't understand, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, thank you, Jack. So again, I grew up on Wall Street in the 90s, lived through, and some might even say got rich on the dot-com explosion. And it really was an explosion of investment. And, I learned a lot. And you had the World Wide Web forming back in the 90s. And that's when I grew up, when the web was coming of age. You had, a lot of home computers. Apple Computer was one of the computers out there. IBM was still dominant. Microsoft and Intel kind of had a monopoly. But in a lot of these early days, not everybody survives. And so there was a kind of winnowing out of the weak players, and only the strong ended up surviving. Now, if you look at the internet, though, it is foundational technology that is driving, companies like Amazon, companies like Shopify, the companies that we talk about. Those companies all were formed in the 90s. And, today we use Amazon. I mean, every single day I see boxes coming and going, the internet for email, and on and on and on. Now it's the cloud. And, if you look at the World Wide Web, it started really for me and for most people with the launch of the Mosaic browser, which turned into Netscape. So Netscape was founded in 1993, and it really opened up the internet to everybody, non-academics, not the military. It's for
just
people.
for anybody that's under the age of, like, I don't know, maybe even 50. But so before this, there was really, the internet was like just like code. It was code basically,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And the
yeah.
Mozilla browser made it graph. It was a game changer because
It was
and
total game changer. It
wow, also,
wasn't user friendly at all until Netscape, right? So now when Netscape went out with their product in 1993, they had 130 sites. That's it. 130 websites. I want you to just think about that for a second. Tiny, tiny, tiny number. There's many millions now.
yeah.
Now by 1996, so we're talking 3 years later, 100,000. Now think of it in terms of 3D models, right? Just substitute websites for 3D models. By 1995, the internet and the web were established, and again, Netscape became the most popular browser at that time. And they went all of a sudden from 100,000 to 10 million global users. And it really caused this explosion in internet usage. And then from 1996 to 1998, 99, the year 2000, you really had the full on formation of the internet, and it took a
Boom,
couple of
boom,
years.
right.
My point is that it took a couple of years for it all to manifest. But do you know what happened to Netscape? So Netscape, which is I think a interesting comparison to NexTech, is that Netscape went from 130 users in 93 to 100,000. And then ultimately, Netscape was acquired for $10 billion by AOL in 1999. So in 6 years. Now, that's 3 years.
10 billion was a lot of money in 1999. That's like
Yeah,
100 billion today almost.
yeah. But they didn't go public in 1993. They were formed in 93, went public in 96. So it took them from founding to going public 3 years. Guess what? NexTech did that in 6 months. We didn't wait the 3 years. 3 more years to get them to $1 billion valuation when they went public in 96. Took us a year and a half to get to a $700 million valuation. And then another 3 years to get bought out by AOL for 10 billion. So
It's interesting because it's almost like there's a certain symmetry, or the paths are very similar. In other words, the difference is, look, Netscape, NexTech, very similar. No, so Netscape, their early development was, they were a private company. So I mean, but NexTech was going through all the same like growth,
yeah,
spurts, the whole cycle, but just in the public eye. Because, essentially, look, the value of the microcap stock market is, it's essentially public venture capital. So it gives the public an opportunity to make a venture capital style bet right now, instead
yeah,
of, having to wait until something goes public. And then you're like, you're already coming in the last guy, the last sucker in, after everybody's made the money. All the VCs have made money. Here, the public is able to buy in and make their bet today at the current. So it's, in other words, all the growth, the stumbles, the growth spurts have all been in the public eye, and people
yep,
need to be patient because VCs go through this, like, it's not a big deal for them to see, except the valuation doesn't
right,
go
right, right.
like
It's not in the public
every
domain.
day from
Yeah,
25 cents to $15, that type
right,
of thing, right?
right. Which brings us to, the present day. And the present day, the conversation really needs to shift to the metaverse. What is the metaverse? It's the next generation of the internet. It's the next generation of the World Wide Web, which really started out in the 50s, but came into the public domain in the 90s. Fast forward to 2022, and we're about to have a web based experience that's untethered, where you're living inside the computer, where everything is going to be a 3D experience. You're going to experience the world through LiDAR. Right now, my phone has LiDAR in it. In another minute, I'm going to be wearing glasses with LiDAR in it. LiDAR essentially recreates your environment and populates it with 3D content. It's laser based computer vision. It's hyper accurate. It's basically what you see in the movies where there's like a screen that's displaying information on it in real time in 3D. And so LiDAR is something we just announced today that we're integrating and adopting for our ARway solution, but the whole world is going to be in 3D, and the information is going to be instantly stored or analyzed using AI. And it's essentially creating a brand new world that's going to be overlaid onto our real world. And over time, I hate to say it, but we're not going to know what's real and what's a 3D rendering of something. This is why you keep hearing me talk about how the entire world is going 3D. It's not just 3D models, it's 3D everything. It's a whole digital twin of the world.
I just, Evan, for the first time, I was on Google, and I actually, I needed to do it. I did a search. This is what, this is okay. So actually, what is it? What did I forget? Was that some animal? Sea lions. Like I wanted to know what's the life expectancy of a sea lion. Yeah, this is crazy. Anyway, so sea lion, I type it in Google, sea lion, whatever. Up pops a 3D, the 3D image. They're doing this, and you can see the thing rotate, and it's like, and then it shows you a line and different animals. But again, why they're doing this is the early iterations of it. But again, this goes back to kind of what you were saying. So, these things, like even with Netscape, I think what the point you were making is that it started off like this. The growth was like this. It was like slowly, and then it just went parabolic.
Yes.
And the thing that investors need to understand, I think this is also the key thing is, the big money profits. It's not done, and it's not made. It's not the big gains are not linear. These 100 baggers are not linear. It's not just like slow. No, it goes like this, and then all of a sudden something goes parabolic, because when there is the product market fit, when all of a sudden everything lines up. And I think, and this is what's going on, like just like the Netscape, the internet took a couple of years. It took 3 years basically. Same thing with the AR, because look, when we first had our first conversation, when you first came on the program 3 years ago, this was still very early on, and now Amazon wasn't doing 3D 3 years ago, correct?
No.
Now they are.
Now they are, and this
is the game changer. This is the big moment, and nobody realizes. This is the crazy thing. It's almost.
So I'm leading up to that, Jack. You're taking away my punch.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
So as I was saying, 3D is transformational, and we are really just at the starting point. And it's very important for investors to understand. Make no mistake about it. The 3D genie is out of the bottle, and companies are investing for the future today. The adoption is being driven by the ubiquity of high-speed advanced networking like 5G, which we've talked about many times on the show. The availability and affordability of technology. Computers keep going down in price, and the ability to render convincing three-dimensional worlds. These are not simple things to do. And so the technology, the convergence, edge computing is going to be a big part of it. The cloud, without the cloud, none of this would be possible. It's all the convergent. And so it's creating this opportunity for a paradigm shift. Back in the 90s, you needed high-speed internet. The internet didn't really take off without the high-speed internet. And so you can predict the future by looking at the past. I do see it forming. I do see enterprises that are leveraging virtual worlds. Digital twins of physical environments can now be made using LiDAR to create hyper-realistic and physically accurate spaces. And the physical environment is being replicated, and it looks natural. It looks, like you could see a building or some type of structure. It could be transportation. It could be something industrial, and you can't tell that it's a rendering. It looks real, but you can actually work inside that rendered 3D model and actually create some real ROI, which is why in the end these things get adopted. Humans, robots, AI, they can all work together inside these digital twins to plan, design, and even test. And it accelerates innovation and planning cycles and creates a tremendous amount of value. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and say, I have all the answers, because I don't. But when you look at the analysts, from a business standpoint, unlimited reality, which is what we're talking about, represents enormous and rapidly growing opportunities. The metaverse focused companies that are not public, most of them are not public. They raised $10 billion in 2021, which was double the amount raised in 2020. And Bloomberg is now talking about the metaverse getting up to $1 trillion by 2024 in valuation. Alliance Bernstein, one of the most reputable research firms, they say the combined annual run rate of the most relevant markets, which is a predictor of financial performance, is valued at $2 trillion and growing. So again, I'm just trying to tie this all together, because NexTech, we kind of have this leadership position because there aren't a lot of public companies talking about this. And I want you investors to understand that we're not alone, but we are making a lot of noise. We do come out with a lot of press releases. What I'm betting on with NexTech is that we have a 5 to 10 year run to create as many 3D models, starting with Amazon, where we should hit $1 million in revenue in 2022. And in 2023, I've talked previously about $1 million a month. I mean, that's going to be a baseline kind of number. I really believe that the sky is the limit once we get into 2023, and that NexTech is really a gatekeeper to the metaverse, specifically the e-com piece of the metaverse, which is not everything, but it's a $5 trillion piece of this global metaverse that's being built. And e-commerce is, kind of the perfect product market fit, which is what you spoke about earlier, is that it just happens to be a perfect product market fit. Now, if you think about NexTech, we're not just making 3D models. That's not our only business. We're also making software that encircles the 3D models and creates even more value. The 3D model is really just in and of itself a base use case for our technology. Beyond that, we have a decorator where you can drag and drop in 3D models and essentially create an entire kitchen or living room or bathroom or whatever, all from your home. And it's all rendered in 3D. It's very, very valuable within that ecosystem. But if you look at the technology that we're experimenting with, the technology that we're starting to roll out, LiDAR. Apple's investing billions into LiDAR. Tesla's investing billions. All EVs, all self-driving cars are using LiDAR. NexTech is now using LiDAR. Again, we're at the bleeding edge. AI, in a minute, we're going to show you a little video of how some of our AI creates 3D models, machine learning, nerf technology, which is being pioneered by NVIDIA, blockchain. We're always looking to the newest, latest, and greatest technology to leverage into our business. We're even looking at acquisition targets as well, which, we're always looking for. But right now, as we speak, we are crossing over the Rubicon. We are. We've heard a lot from Meta, from Apple, Google, Microsoft. They talk a lot about the metaverse, but is it tangible? Like, can you actually experience it? Well, maybe if you put on a pair of VR goggles, but I'm talking about the real world metaverse. What can we use today? What is the base use case for all this technology to survive and thrive? With the internet, It was the interconnectivity of websites. It was the browser that Netscape put out, and the web, you know, the magic happened, right? For the metaverse, we're making the building blocks. The magic is 3D models. They're needed to enter the metaverse experience. And we've just now started to make 3D models for the largest consumer platform that sells stuff on the planet, which is Amazon. It is a game changing contract, a game changing partnership. It's just starting. It's huge. They're not the only ones, though. They're the biggest fish, there's no question, but they're not our only customer. Our business is continuing to grow. We're continuing to sign up more and more e-com sites. There's huge appetite for 3D models, but not just 3D models, back to the software. The 3D models are essentially the account opener, and then the software is what we end up making a lot of money on. So how do I see things playing out over the next 12 to 24 months? Well, steady as she goes with Amazon until they come out with an announcement saying that they're going 3D and they open up their platform to anybody and everybody that wants to bring 3D models in. That's on the horizon. We're a preferred partner with them. They're getting situated with us before they open the floodgates, which I expect to happen in Q4, possibly Q1 2023. When that happens, again, looking at history, in my opinion, it's like when Netscape goes public in '96. The whole internet exploded. Everything.
And everybody was looking. Everybody wanted the next internet stock, and there wasn't. There was only a few, right?
There was only a few, and so they all went parabolic. They just did. You know, any stock with a .com went parabolic. I think the same thing can happen with 3D.
Well, people got a taste of it. Well, Evan, here's the thing: people got a taste of it, a year and a half ago when NexTech was one of the few pure plays with the video streaming thing.
Yep.
When COVID hit, well, everybody was looking for the next Zoom or whatever it was, and NexTech was there with the live, the video event platform, all that stuff. So here's the thing: right now. We're really at, this AR thing, people have been kind of talking about it, but then again, it's one of these things where technology, people talking, and then all of a sudden it takes off. And we're seeing it now. Like, look, I mean, I just saw my own personal experience was what I saw with Google when Google started showing that AR thing of the animal. Like, why would they do that, right? I mean, they're not doing it for their entertainment purposes, right? I mean, they're doing it because that they see the 3D models as the next big thing. And now here's the key thing, right? NexTech, so NexTech's role in this whole universe is that, NexTech is the only company that makes these 3D models at scale for e-commerce, right? So I think this is the value here is that if anybody has any business, they have, 100 products, 500 products, 1,000, whatever the number of SKUs are, they can't do it themselves. They got to go to NexTech. So at some point when the market, when the AR theme, we've talked about it taking off, and it's coming. It's bubbled up a little bit, but I think the next wave is really going. It hasn't started yet. It's almost
it's just around the corner, Jack. So I think the same thing again that happened in the '90s is going to happen again with 3D in 2023. It should benefit NexTech. It should also benefit, by the way, ARway. We might even have another spinoff ready in 2023 to feed the coming expected frenzy of interest. So we are
besides ARway. So you're talking about
besides ARway. I'm saying you'll have NexTech, the spinout of ARway, and possibly another spinout in 2023 to feed the frenzy of interest. We should generate interest in our stock, not on hype. No, I'm not talking about hype. I'm talking about being a market leader in 3D models and software solutions for e-commerce. We should generate interest because our business model is annual recurring revenue and monthly recurring revenue, which is going to be rapidly growing from here on out every month and every quarter. That's what gets people excited. If you think about what Jack was talking about in 2020 when our stock went to $10, it was because every quarter we were recording dramatic growth. Why was that happening? Our ecom business exploded and our events business exploded simultaneously. And the business just took off. You know, we were just kind of hanging on. And then, of course, those were not our main businesses. Now we're locked and loaded with 3D models with our main business, which again, we see as a 5 to 10-year run, not a 12-month run, which is, you know, what happened with those businesses. We should be generating a lot of investor interest because we're going to be the most established. There might be someone who shows up, you know, like last minute, but we're going to be the most established, the most reputable 3D model, pure play investment with the biggest customer base, with the fastest growing revenue, with a marquee. I don't think there's any other name beyond Amazon. Like, what is there another mountain that I'm missing? I mean, okay, you could have Walmart, but that's just additive. Once you have Amazon and you know, I mean, it's kind of like
You know,
you
look,
have.
Evan, the reality is this. Look, it's kind of, again, like back to the Wayne Gretzky thing. How does the guy become the best hockey player of all time? Is he doesn't chase after the puck. He goes to where the puck is heading. So it's like right now, NexTech is like being, you're surfing, you're in the water, you're already on the surfboard in the water, you're far in the ocean, waiting for the big wave to come in, rather than, some investors who are still, sitting on the sand. And then they start chasing, they start running into the water when they see a wave, but then they're too late already. It's already, the wave has come and gone. So I think that we're going to see this. We saw preview. We're going to see the big wave very soon. And again, it's pure play. In terms of comps, just to give people some ideas, right now, NexTech, I think, is the only publicly traded pure play, but there's some private, some VC backed comps that are making 3D models. What are the valuations in that space?
I mean, when you look at some of the
Was it Niantic or something?
competitors, yeah. So Niantic really is a comp to ARway, and they have a $9 billion valuation. They also use LiDAR, which is what we are using now. And so, that's
Matterport a little bit. Matterport maybe a little bit.
Matterport is an interesting company. They don't make 3D models. Again, that would be more like ARway, and they have a $1.3 billion market cap. But in the world of 3D models, I really think we stand apart. I really don't think there is another competitor, even private. There might be some small shops or what have you, but remember, we're working with all the biggest companies, including Amazon. They only work with best in breed.
It's a massive validation to have Amazon. I mean, I think that I'm really shocked that the stock is not trading above 250, which is, by the way, where HC Wainwright, they have a 250 target, American $2.50 US target. I'm shocked that when the Amazon thing kind of leaked out, the stock didn't just run to like $3 because that's what usually happens. But
I think it's because of the market environment we're in. I think it's gonna shift once the environment gets better. There's a lot of uneasiness. There's a lot of let's say less speculative fervor in the market. And so, people have gotten burned. The first 6 months of the year were kind of brutal. If this was 2019, 2020, 2021, Jack,
it would be $20.
It would be a completely different valuation.
But even not, even if it was 2018 or whatever, like a normal 2016, look, it's just, but the market is, look, the market, it might go whatever it is at some point. At some point, everything turns. At some point, everything turns. Well, and even like Netscape, as an example, when the internet stocks came out, the market was still kind of coming out of it wasn't like a hot market. I mean,
No.
it took a while so it's one of these things. I think, look, bottom line is the company is in the right place, and we're basically in the water. We know that the big wave, that mega wave, is coming. We just don't know. Is it going to be in an hour? Is it going to be 5 minutes? But we're in the water instead of people out on the sand. They're they're going to be late.
I want to correct you. I want to correct you because I don't even think you understand what's going on. Even you, Jack.
No, but I don't know anything. So
we're not in the water. We're up on the wave. The wave, we've caught the wave. We're already on the wave. The wave, it's not like we're waiting for the wave.
The wave is building. It's building, right? So the wave is moving, right?
The wave is already growing. It's swelling. And so we're on the wave, riding the wave today. It's just not a 60-foot wave yet. It's growing to that, though. It could be 100-foot wave. It could be 1,000-foot wave. It could be a mega wave. But the wave is already out there. We're on the wave. We're riding the wave now. And that's why I've said it's only a matter of time. Before, we were waiting for the wave. Like you keep saying, like most of these little small caps, they sit and they wait for the wave. And it might come, you don't know when. I'm saying, I'm declaring we're on the wave.
One thing, when you talk about small, I should also address one other issue. Look, in the microcap space, and unfortunately, look, if NexTech was a New York Stock Exchange NASDAQ company, it would be like a Matterport basically. But because it's in the microcap space, like everybody assumes, oh, these things are pump and dumps, whatever, because there's so many of them in Canada, right? Like if we look at a lot of these other stocks, a lot of those CEOs, they're out of, they're on to the next deal, whatever it is. And you've been basically consistent. You've been building your position in stock. I think you're one of the few CEOs in the microcap space, especially in the Canadian space, who's out there still, maintaining transparency, out there talking to investors, engaging, and not hiding, because those guys are just basically, stock promoters. They're basically pumpers.
Yeah. I mean, you and I came out.
This is the crazy thing.
Yeah, we came out. We did a show when the stock was collapsing. We've done shows with short attacks. The reason is that we have nothing to hide. We've always spoken the same talk track. It really hasn't changed much in 4 years. It's always been about this moment, and that's what I was talking about on the earnings call. That it's here now, and that's what I'm talking about today. That it's here now. I'm using different languaging. Today we're using history to kind of explain to everybody that's paying attention that, look, history is my guide. And if I'm looking at history and I look at companies that were successful, NexTech really does have that DNA to be a successful, stock that rides this 3D megatrend. And maybe, Jack, we should show the AI piece of tech.
Hold on, Evan. Should we answer we get about 20 questions. Should we do the questions first and then jump to the demo?
Let's show the demo first.
You want to do the demo first?
Yeah, and then we'll do the questions. So before we show the demo, I want everyone to understand the future of NexTech is AI. The future is here. We are working on creating 3D models at scale using computers exclusively, computer vision and AI. It's not easy. Google has not been able to do it. Apple can't do it. Amazon can't do it. We have had some success, and we are using our AI to create 3D models. It's only going to get better. It gets more and more intelligent, more and more powerful. My CTO, who I don't know if he's listening, he came from Apple Computer. He was, thinking about his next stage or phase in life. He's a machine learning tenured professor with, PhD. Who knows how many degrees that guy has? And he left Apple. He left his $1 million a year job to figure out how to make 3D models using AI. And he's been at it now for like 5 years. We acquired him and his company about a year ago. He's been working behind the scenes. He's behind the scenes in the R&D lab, behind the curtain, working with a team that is actually getting bigger as we're seeing more and more success come out of there. But make no mistake about it, the future of NexTech is going to be driven by machine learning and AI, and that ultimately is going to drive our valuation through the roof. Jack, let's show this model.
Okay.
So there's a blotch of gray on one side, and the other side, you have an actual sneaker. And so the AI is going to slowly recreate that sneaker as a 3D model. You able to show that, Jack? Do you need me to press play? Are you able to press play? You got me on the screen. There it is. Can you rewind it, Jack, to the beginning? Show it one more time, because I think we missed the first. There we go. So you could see the 3D model is kind of fuzzy, a little out of focus at first, and then it gets more and more crisp, more and more clean. And that's the key, is cleaning it up. It creates a mesh first. So, computer vision is creating a mesh. Then you have the colors. Then you have kind of, it's a little, bitmappy. And then the AI just keeps on working. And ultimately, you get this finished product. Now, this is just a raw, very limited example. I'm going to be rolling out more examples of this in the coming weeks, because there's a lot more actually happening behind the scenes. So this is the future of NexTech, being able to create 3D models at scale using AI.
Okay. So we got the demo. Okay, let's get to the audience questions. We got about 20 questions.
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's start. Okay. First question was the earliest question. Assad is asking, Dubai recently disclosed they will be putting in $4 billion, adding 40,000 jobs to expand the metaverse economy in the UAE. Does NexTech plan?
Yeah. We're talking to I don't know if it's those guys specifically, but we are talking to a number of groups in the Middle East about projects that big and bigger.
Social media social media, which is Web 2.0, is a big thing in the Middle East. So this could be the next thing. So okay, Michael, making a comment here. Amazon trying to proof of concept test drive. If it were, Michael is suggesting that Amazon might buy NexTech, because this is kind of like a way for them to, it's interesting. They're doing a lot of acquisitions right now in the health tech space. They have a lot of cash.
Well, there's no question that that's been discussed internally here at NexTech. Like, hey, we get into, tens of thousands of models, hundreds of thousands of models. The AI kicks in, and we're doing 100,000 models a month. I have no doubt that they're gonna just be like, "Hey guys,
It's interesting. So this is, again, the key thing is, because the company NexTech becomes more and more valuable, like literally with every product you put into the system, because the AI and the machine learning is constantly learning how to make this stuff better and better. So you're getting further and further ahead of the competition, because you have more time. The computer brain has been growing. You have a massive head start. Amazon, they, why, this is nothing for them. $1 billion is like, that's not even their like snack budget at their headquarters. Like,
No, that's their eraser budget.
Erase paper clips. Yeah, no, it's really nothing.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, they're not the only ones. I mean, just to be clear, everybody's looking for a solution, whether it's Walmart, Target, Amazon, they're all looking for a solution to create 3D models at scale.
Another comment. So ARway, which is we're gonna get is the which is the spinout. It's kind of, again, this is very clear point. It's a logical extension, evolution of Google Maps. Again, that could be, I think, also ARway could be I mean, it's a natural acquisition for any of the mapping companies. If they have the outdoor mapping, like, what this is the next, this gives them the massive edge because they're able to monetize, right?
Yeah. We're actually going to even be able to create outdoor maps in short order. But yeah, I mean, there's the potential for big companies. I mean, listen, it happens every day of the week where big companies buys up a little company. From our standpoint, because we're public and we have a number of companies that we're incubating, this is kind of the reason, one of the reasons why we do these spinouts, is that then there'll be a pure play opportunity for someone to come along and say, okay, we're just buying ARway, or we're just buying this 3D modeling business, or we're just buying whatever, the mapping business.
And that creates value for the whole stuff. It's everything is going to.
Everybody wins. Everybody wins.
Question. He says, how come he does not see 3D models when he looks on Amazon?
Yes, just looking. You need to look inside their app. Right now, they only have 3D models in their app. So if you're not in their app,
so it's not on the site. It's not on the Amazon.com website yet.
No, it's in the app. Also, when you say you don't look, you said Amazon or other sites. I mean, there's two answers here. One is you're not looking hard enough. It's on Kohl's, it's on House, IKEA.
But also, it's still, you got to realize it's still the early stages. There's only how many thousands of models are there out of billions?
Yeah. So that's actually so they are out there, but again, it's still early, so it's not ubiquitous. You don't see it everywhere, and that's why
the opportunity. That's the opportunity.
That's why I'm here, because we're on the wave, but it hasn't gone to.
It's kind of like in '96 there was only a few websites, only a handful of websites, right? All of a sudden, and they say, "Hey, how come you don't have a web?" And then, well, look. The other day, for the first time, I actually saw a 3D model myself on this Google search on the animal thing, right? Like, but it's going to become ubiquitous at some point. And listen, I think, Evan, when it becomes that ubiquity thing, which could be, sometimes these things happen like in a year. And when that happens, the stock is no longer 50 cents. I mean, or 80 cents or $1. It's because by then people say, shit, I see this AR stuff everywhere. I need a pure play AR stock. And you have ETFs, everybody starts going, and how many are there? Nobody else is there in the water because everybody's still in the sand. NexTech is the wave. It's in the wave.
Yeah. So, in fact, I think a couple of the early competitors have either been bought out, so they're taken off the market, or they've gone out of business. They just ran out of cash. And so,
Evan, would you sell NexTech if somebody offered you $10 billion?
Ring the register, Jeff.
Spinning out arrows is good because you can sell a company. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, okay. So catching up. Okay. Evan, the man with the vision. Has Amazon gotten back to you regarding the test models?
We talk to Amazon twice a week, just looking. And so there's no like, have they got back to us? They've told us we're doing a great job. We talk to them all the time. They're constantly in contact with us, and they're constantly working with us to improve the process. And so that's the key thing when you're dealing with a mega account, is you need to have a process so that the machine can scale. You can't, you can't. It's hard for me to explain how complex it is to be in business with a giant company like Amazon that's hungry. I mean, it's one thing if they're just nibbling, like you have like some companies that we've done business with before. It was like a little side project thing. It's like, oh, we'll nibble. We'll take a flyer. We'll do a little test or whatever. This is not that. This is how many can you make? And then, they're just like,
Look, this is like everybody's going from kerosene lamps to electric bulbs.
or yeah, or
Once they see it, that's it. This is
yeah,
it. It's out of the
yeah,
cat is out of the bag. Everybody needs the electricity is there. Everybody's ready, ready to buy the bulbs, right?
yeah. Or it's like, I mean, I don't know what's a good analogy. Like in wartime, all of a sudden, what's in demand? Whatever's in demand, it's like, okay, like, the government just like buys everything.
Yeah,
We just need, whatever you can produce kind of thing. But in this case, when you're dealing with technology, it's not whatever you could produce at any price. It's not other people's money, right?
yeah,
It's like their money.
right.
So
A
it
little more, yeah.
it has to be done a certain way. And but the good news is we're getting pats on the back and being told that we're doing a great job. And there's about to be, I would say, an upgrade to our relationship in September. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, okay. What about Mayo Clinic for 3 AR and biggest health? I think he's saying the Mayo Clinic using ARway. Because we talked about hospitals using this thing, as the
Absolutely. There's no question the Mayo Clinic would be a great ARway wayfinding experience. I mean, there's unlimited use cases. There's really unlimited. It's
yeah, no,
unlimited.
it's okay. Are you experiencing any difficulty in receiving material? Or I guess,
There's no materials. It's all software driven. We don't
hiring people. Do you need people now? Is a hard
actually.
engineers?
No, we've adopted. So after the 2021 downsizing, where we went from, I mean, look, in 2020, well, when we started the company, there was just a handful of employees. When we came out of 2019, we had like 25, 30 employees. In 2020, we went to like 150 and then to 300. Okay. And then I had to basically get rid of everybody after the whole pandemic ended and the video conferencing thing ended. And so now, if you don't learn lessons, you're not really doing your job. So I'm always trying to learn from what goes on at NexTech. And so I am no longer going to be hiring massive amounts of people. I outsource now. We outsource. That allows us to turn on and off our spending as business comes in, spending goes up. Business it doesn't, spending goes down. I mean, right now business is just going up, so we don't have the down. But the point is we're not hiring in the same way that we did previously. That keeps our expenses low, and it keeps our margins high and
I
really
think
deep.
Facebook, Amazon, all the tech companies they're doing the same thing right now.
They are, and actually, it's interesting because Facebook announced they were hiring like 10,000 engineers, and then they backtracked.
Yeah. Corey's asking, can you develop a tech that produces 50 to 100,000 models a month? Can you how big can you scale?
Yeah, that is possible, and that is the goal. Today we're not doing that, but that is what we are building the AI for. So that's it.
Bart, I guess is asking a similar question. Okay, so will there be a moment when 3D models can be fully automated with AI?
That's a good question, Bart. The answer is a two-pronged answer. As of today, we can produce some 3D models fully automated. Not all, but some. So there are 3D models. Essentially, no, NVIDIA is not doing 3D models. They're doing 3D renderings. It's
Ah,
very different. And so we've looked into their tech. They use the Nerf tech. And so it creates a 3D rendering. It's not an actual 3D model. It's like a fake. So when you think about it, um, back to there's a lot of questions coming at the same time,
yeah.
Jack. I'm
Sorry about that. Sorry
trying
about
to
that.
actually answer
Let's answer
some of
one.
these questions. I can't remember because I'm looking at the
Yeah.
next
Yes.
one.
Don't no. Don't read it. You answer. Yeah. I thought you were. Yeah. Yeah. Don't mind me.
Yeah. So I forgot which question I was on because I was
Oh,
answering
okay. So I think
two at the same time.
I distracted you with the Nvidia thing. Somebody was asking you.
Yeah, yeah, because we just looked at that, and they make renderings. It's not an actual three-dimensional model. It's kind of like it's like a picture in 3D as opposed to like a model. It's different.
Okay. Bart's asking, do you consider Avatar a real do you know this company, Avatar?
They might be one of the few competitors, Bart, and it's actually um, interesting that you bring them up because we have looked at them. I'm not sure if I believe all the hype. They have a lot of things they talk about, but I'm not sure if they can deliver all of it. But they do look like a potential competitor, and they are private, as you point out.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
Are
they'll
they
go public. There's enough 3D models for everybody, though.
right? Right. There's gonna be a demand for I don't know, billions.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, by the way, I'm just looking this up. So I'm just out of curiosity. I was gonna say, what's their valuation, right? So, oh, look at this. Okay, so Avatar, Evan, this is a phenomenal validation here. Avatar actually looks kind of similar. They raised $45 million just in January. What's the
That
valuation?
means
Oh,
they have a higher valuation than us.
yeah. From Tiger. Oh, because look at it. So the headline is Avatar raises 45 million to improve consumer shopping experience with life-size 3D product evaluation. This is a great. This is hang on a second. This is actually a great. You know what I'm going to do, Evan? Hang on a second. I'm going to put this link in the video so people can actually look at this because I think it's a massive validation. And Tiger Global, Tiger is the massive hedge fund. That's like the big player.
Julian Robinson, isn't it the
No, no,
guy who
no, it's
died?
one of the guy. It's the guy who worked for Julian. When he shut it,
Oh,
it's the guy Coleman, Chase Cole, and another. Basically, so they went from doing public market. They're a crossover hedge fund. So not only do they play in the public space, but they also get into Series B VC backed companies. So like they come in, basically they're competing with VCs. They're saying, hey,
interesting.
why should we wait till these guys are public?
Right.
Let's get in now. They
Well,
want to front run.
you're right about validation. I mean, look, I come out here all the time. You and I talk, and we tell the story. But who else is telling the story? Who else do you hear it from? You hear it from Evan and Jack all the time. So it's like, okay, like these two guys are telling me, but how do I know? How do I know for sure? There's no analyst. There's no like 800-pound gorilla, but I'm predicting that when Amazon comes out and declares they're going 3D, that is going to be the moment the analyst report is Amazon.
You know what's
You really
crazy?
hold on, Jack. Do you really need an analyst to tell you to go 3D if Amazon's saying we're going 3D? Like, isn't that the analyst? Like, the analysts actually call Amazon and say, what are you doing? Right? Here's the source, right? So I'm giving you the kind of inside track a little bit as to what big tech is investing in. And it just so happens to be us. And that's the value of these shows, these talk shows that Jack puts on, is that there's an opportunity for you to learn something about what's happening inside our company and also with some of our customers. And so it's an interesting time. I think, Jack, that We're probably up to the end of the hour.
Yeah,
Just
you want to do a couple more, just a few more?
sure. Yeah.
Okay. But by the way, but that thing that avatar, that's an interesting comp, because look, that I'm assuming, I haven't seen the actual valuation of the thing, but if they raise 50 million, that probably the valuation is probably north of 500 million, right? And I don't think they're more advanced than NexTech in terms of either tech or traction.
Yeah, they have a completely different tech that they raised the money on. Like that's in store. Like I don't even honestly, I don't get it. It seems very much of a bet on something that might happen in 2024, 2025 kind of thing. It's not something today. I could tell you that.
Okay, question. Are the conversations with Walmart continuing to progress?
Everything's continuing to progress. Nothing is slowing down for us.
Can you increase model throughput by adding additional computing power or multiple instances? Basically, he's asking, how do you increase
Yeah.
production of the model?
So yeah. So there's there's definitely an opportunity for us to produce. Look, the way I think of it is this: is that with the tech we have built already, we could probably get to 25,000 models a month, which would be huge. That's a, you know, monster number. That's a couple of $1 million a month in model business. But again and again, AI is needed to improve to get us to, let's say, 50 or 100,000 or whatever the number we can grow to. You need the AI to assist. That's number one. And number two, we're not just going to be driven, our revenue is not going to just be driven by 3D models. It's also going to be driven by the software that we are launching, a full end-to-end suite of software, just like Adobe has software. We're going to have a full end-to-end suite of software for anybody with a 3D model. It doesn't have to be our 3D model, it's anyone's 3D model. And that suite of software will allow you to change the color of the 3D model, change the texture of the 3D model. It could go from a leather couch to a cloth couch, from yellow to blue to green, whatever you want. It's a studio that is worth potentially more than our entire 3D modeling business. It is a massive opportunity because as more 3D models proliferate, that software, again, it's agnostic. It could be a CAD file. It could be a NexTech 3D model. It could be a Sketchfab 3D model. It could be a TurboSquid 3D model. There's millions of 3D models out there. Not necessarily in e-com. I'm just saying it could be in gaming. It could be wherever. There's a lot of 3D models that have been created. They're not all for e-com. Our software allows you to import those 3D models, point and click to change colors and textures. And it's like, it's literally a tool to create more variations and prototype products if you're creating new 3D models for prototyping. And then you take it a step further, where within that same suite is a decorator where you can drag and drop 3D models into a 3D rendering of a room and see the 3D models in a space. It could be your living room, it could be a warehouse, it could be, any space. And then to take it to the last logical step, the virtual photography piece where you're pulling all these 3D models in, and ultimately what you're left with is a studio, a photo studio, photography studio, where you can point and click, it snaps a picture, and it renders it photorealistic so that it looks like you were literally hired a team of photographers, you rented out a studio, you had all these props, and you spent millions of dollars when in fact you're just paying us $1,000 a month or whatever it is for this software. That's actually potentially more valuable than all the 3D modeling business that we talk about every day on this show. But I don't want to talk about it so much until after it's launched. The first version is going to be launched in September.
Okay, Evan, let's wrap up. One question, and then we'll finish off on the ARway spinout. Okay, so Tim, I think he was one of the first to ask a question.
Holograms are still part of our future. We are using the tech that we've built inside of ARway. So as you're wayfinding, the holograms will appear.
Okay, so let's close off on this. I guess this speaks to the last few questions, which is the ARway spinout. Again, I think Bart is right on point with the potential for monetizing with the ads. That's the big money. Okay, so what's the update? How are we progressing on the spinout?
We are right on target. We are now locked and loaded for an October spinout. Trade date is still to be announced, but we are very locked in. Our legal, our accounting, the fairness opinion, everything is, I mean, there's a lot of work. I just want everyone to know behind the scenes to take a company public. This is a self-underwritten deal, and it will trade on the CSE initially, and then we will get it listed on the OTC. It'll be basically a carbon copy of NexTech in terms of where you can trade it. You don't have to do anything. It'll magically appear in your brokerage account.
Free gift.
Free gift. It's like, I don't know if you own any stocks that have dividends. The dividends just show up in your account as cash. This will just show up in your account as shares. It's that simple.
Fantastic. Okay, Evan, thank you again. And thank you everybody for joining our live stream. We will see you all on the next one.
Thank you.